Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. And today we are going to talk ahead, or we're going to go ahead with the TED Talks summary. This will definitely be the last part of it. And quite before this episode, I was just thinking, like, yeah, if the next episode or the next episodes should actually be, only the same book over and over again, which, might feel a little bit, I don't know, disturbing for me, for some people, because yeah, it's kind of boring. The thing is, if you just have one episode of the book there and another in 10 weeks, this might even not be a good thing as well. I've done that actually. There is a book, at my point of view, two actually, as I now know, that I've begun, but I haven't ended them. This shouldn't be done by me, and it's maybe not that a good thing, even though it's not for me. Like, yeah, I do really want to end everything, every summary, every article. The thing is that I want to provide value for you guys, or for you people out there. This is what I'm doing here, and create value for me. And so if you got value out of this one episode and I got it, so then everything is quite okay. But we will definitely go ahead right now, so that we then have enough time to talk about something else. I looked a little bit around, but at the end, I think I will just choose any book, just any book, because the title does not say anything, and you should never quite judge a book by its cover, and I would even say by its title. But we go ahead with the nerves, and yeah, so the best of us get nervous. Or even the best of us get nervous. Anderson has a few tips to control the nerves on speaking day, or the nerves on speaking day. Use your fear as motivation. It's just pretty easy to be sad, but done not that quite simple. Breathe. Actually, quite good advice to just breathe, get oxygen in your body that your body actually needs and maybe even lacks of, and just calm yourself down with really conscious breathing and really deep breathing, maybe, and not too quick. And if you just notice that you are breathing so heavily and so quickly and so, I don't know, just nervously, then it might be even a good thing to just calm yourself down through breathing, just breathing slow and breathing deep and getting all the shit out of your body that's making you kind of nervous. Drink water. Don't know, haven't done before. Avoid an empty stomach is definitely always a good thing. I was just before this episode, I was actually eating something, because before I made the post for tomorrow, and I came home today way earlier than I normally do, which was great for me, because I do actually have the time today to work out, create this episode, especially, or I could even make this episode an hour long. I could work out. I've already done the posts, and I will definitely get enough sleep today as well, which is the greatest part about it, because I lack sleep a lot, which shouldn't be the thing, because you need sleep. You need it. It's not like, we are all supernatural and we all can kind of live without sleep. This doesn't work out. Some people need more, some people need less. This is just the thing you have to live with. I seem to be a person who definitely needs at least kind of 7 hours. I'm now most of the time getting 6 hours, and it doesn't turn out too good for me, even though I'm just thinking about it like, am I not even just telling myself that I need those 7 hours, but actually 6 hours would, just make it as well? Or just so that it is just a thing of my brain and my mind and me telling myself that I need it, even though I do not need it actually. But yeah, remember the power of vulnerability. Okay, so actually, as I was talking about in the last, or the episode before, you make yourself vulnerability, especially through body language. So if you, and now I can show you for the YouTube viewers, if you're so, like, your chest out, straight back, everything is out, you have your hands like this, so like you're hugging someone. This is a position where you're just so fucking vulnerable, because you can't protect your organs. You can't protect the most important body parts because your hands are like this. Your hands are open. And this is the thing about it. It just makes sense, you know? If you have crossed arms and if you're just hugging yourself maybe even, or just really maybe some kind of consciously protecting your organs, this is definitely pretty fucking defensive. And people get it, and people may be like, yeah, is he like, not feeling that good? Is he like a little bit nervous? And it will definitely feel like it because you're not vulnerable. You do not seem confident enough for this speech. Or not enough, but not confident. Find friends in the audience. Okay, which means I think that you just, look at certain persons or people a lot more than on others or at others. Have a backup plan. So if everything goes down and everything is fucked up, that there is a plan on something you can actually do if this happens. Focus on what you're talking about. It's always a good thing. And for me, on every single beginning of any presentation I had, I was always really quite fucking nervous. Just really, it's who I am. It's what it is for me. The thing is, when I begin to speak and when I get really into my fucking flow, I will push it through. So then there are no complications. There's nothing I am worrying about consciously. There might be just some worrying subconsciously. But the thing is, as long as I'm talking, everything is good. And as long as I have my certain paragraphs and my certain things, my certain sentences, everything is good. It some kind of gets a little bit distracted, my flow, when I do present with a partner and then he or she has to speak and I have to be silent. Then it not that big as a problem. It actually begins, or I begin to get a little bit nervous when I begin to speak. Yeah, maybe this is the reason why I should actually drink water, because you're actually using your system there. You're using to talk with, so that it some kind of gets a little bit warm, or some kind of gets a little bit heated up, so that everything flows a little bit more. So being prepared is also essential. Anderson explains that sometimes just knowing that there is a script and detailed notes available is all you need. You may have your entire speech memorized, but having a backup is really important for your mental nerves. You can also use your own slides as prompts. They can help you know what's coming up next. Consider using small notes, cards that you can hold in your hand. And this is actually something that I never do, and I do not like it because I like to, make gestures and just, use my hand to really emphasize the points that I'm making. This is important for me. If you're just a person that is really fucking nervous, it might even be a good idea because you have a certain place where your hands are. Most of the time, people just end up putting their hands before their body, which makes it a little bit more defensive, definitely, or behind their back, which and I do really want to go through a body language book on here as well again, because it is important and it is actually so fucking interesting to me, at least. Because I've just once heard that actually having your hands behind your back is okay, but your wrist shouldn't be behind your back, which doesn't make any sense if I remember it correctly, which I definitely, or I think, do not. But for me, it would make sense that if you have your hands behind your back, you make yourself really confident and or vulnerable, which is in this kind of situation just the same thing. But yeah. But I definitely do not use any papers or sheets of paper in my hands because, I like to emphasize everything with my hands, which, at my point of view, is actually a good thing to do, a really good thing to do. Your voice. Anderson explains that one of your most powerful tools in delivering a good talk is your own voice. Totally true, and this is actually something that I really have to keep attention to, because at least in the night hours or in the evening, I quite tend to be a little bit too silent, which makes the whole recording not too enthusiastic and not that passionate that I really wanted my recordings to be, because I know that people will keep way more attention to me if I'm actually passionate about what I'm talking. And yeah, also think that, some kind of could be controlled by myself, some kind of not is, how fluent I can speak. Um, yeah, which some kind of has something to do with how tired I am, what I did this day, how I'm feeling in terms of my health, and some factors. But yeah, use your voice, tell the story using variety in tone, pace, and pauses to convey the emotions needed. Anderson points out that if you have chosen to go with the script, it's a good idea to highlight or underline the key points and phrases that you wish to emphasize, and then really get your tone either up, or I think, or just a little bit slower. Might be even better than faster, obviously. But yeah, just to emphasize it with your voice as well, and maybe you use your hands and your body position and your body language as well, and then I think your presentation is good because your whole passion is in this presentation. Blah 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 blah. Where did I stop? And that you wish to emphasize, tone is so important and can really change the way the audience perceives your message. Totally true. It could be some kind of ironically said, just like, yeah, I know you are good, or something like, yeah, you just know what I mean. There's, the tone of voice is just really something you have to keep attention to, not only when you're giving a presentation, but with, with speaking with people. There's always some kind of thing like, yeah, do people actually know, how you meant it? And this is always a thing. So communication is pretty fucking difficult in my point of view. And there's so many things that could go wrong and could go just well. Anderson stresses the importance of considering your speaking space, not space, but pace. Make sure it's mostly a natural conversational pace with increases and decreases for emphasis. Speak with meaning and don't be afraid to let emotions out a little as you speak. Totally true. Body language. Further to your own voice, you can use your body to help tell your story. By standing tall and central with your weight equally distributed between your 2 feet, your presence is immediately more powerful than someone who looks down or shifts from left to right. Your hands can be short storytelling tools, emphasizing the key points and moments. Anderson points out that some people feel more comfortable moving around. If this is the case, walking around is good, but ensure that the walk is a natural speed and pace. Not just, sprinting around the whole time. May even sound or feel like a little bit nervously, or feel that might just seem to you being nervous. Yeah, haven't thought about it, right? Whatever is your pursuit, if you truly go after it, predict 2 things. Yes, you will find a meaningful form of happiness and you'll discover something worth saying. And then what? Well, then of course you must share it and use all the passion, skills and determination you can muster. This is actually true, and if it's just really something you're so passionate about, just use all the things, use your whole body, use your voice, use everything that can just emphasize what you're talking about. It is important and will make your speech definitely way better. But let's see, the conclusion, the key takeaways. Speaking is a learnable skill, anyone can do it. Totally true. You have to begin with an idea. Your aim is to have something important to say to capture an audience and perhaps change their perspective on a topic. Remember that even though you may know a lot about your topic, your audience or audience's knowledge and understanding may be limited. Start from the beginning so they can grasp your concepts. Avoid presenting as a sales pitch. You're not selling anything, you don't ramble. Your speech doesn't have to have only one single idea or story, but there has to be a clear connection. Establish your through line and build your narrative around that. Actually, pretty important. If just people will notice it when certain parts do not really connect, and this is something else than this, and it just feels different. It's most people can't really say, yeah, it is because of design, or yeah, it's because of this and that, or your tone of voice, or whatever. But most of the people might be like, yeah, I don't know. Actually, there was something, I'm not quite sure about it, but it quite felt some kind of different, not just, not right, maybe. Visuals can be a useful storytelling aid, but only if they offer something you can't put into words. Use your voice and body language to emphasize points and help tell the story. So then he just points out, so the author points out some other things that you could actually be reading. So now just go through the headlines, or I'll go through it the whole way. So if you want to learn a bit more about confidence in a different area, give the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins a go. The 5-second rule can help you in those everyday moments of difficulty, uncertainty, and fear. It can help you improve your health, increase productivity, and combat procrastination. Robbins helps you be courageous and step outside of your comfort zone. And most importantly, Robbins explains how easy it is to take control and make a change. Similar, Reawaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins is an inspiring read about how to live a happier, healthier, and more fulfilling life. In the book, Robbins discusses how to empower yourself by taking control of your emotions, values, and beliefs. And The Guidelines is my ebook that summarizes the main lessons from 33 of the best-selling self-help books in one place. It is the ultimate book summary, available as an 80-page ebook and 115-minute audiobook. Guidelines lists 31 rules or guidelines that you should follow to improve your productivity, become a better leader, do better in business, improve your health, and succeed in life, and become a happier person. And there are actual action steps, as he calls them. And that's totally fine if I read it. Look for an opportunity to do some public speaking instead of shying away from the chance. Decide to give it a go. Consider asking local community groups if they would like a guest speaker and give it a shot. Consider your ideas, develop these further through research, whether it be your own experiences or sharing a new idea. You have a story worth telling, so don't forget it. In terms of the first one, by just, really trying to speak a lot more, it's actually a good thing, because not only you will just increase your capability of just talking and talking better, but you will also just increase or just, make your presentation itself better. You then just know, when I was saying this and that, people really were like, oh my God, or something, or they just, had some things in their face, so they were maybe smiling, or they may kind of be anxious actually, or maybe they felt the tension or didn't feel the tension, so you have to create more tension in your storytelling, or they liked the story in general, or they did not. There's so many fucking variables that you could use if you just know what's good for an audience, and especially, there might even be some kind of different audiences, some pretty, some really young people may just respond to your presentation differently than really old people, and some people in between, and so on. So you could definitely also use the knowledge you gain from just presenting in your presentation. If you have the opportunity to speak in front of a crowd, don't forget to rehearse. Start by rehearsing in front of a mirror, then ask some friends to take a listen and provide feedback. Actually good. The thing is, if they give you feedback like you're shit, not so good. Consider whether you would prefer to write a script or speak more freely. Try both approaches and see what works for you. For inspiration, check out some of the TED Talks. Actually true. TED Talks are really great, and it actually stands for Technology, Education and Design Talks, as I found out yesterday because I was a little bit researching on Tony Robbins. He's a really inspiring person, especially with his whole background of actually, moving out at 17 and actually, for then, so until this point he was at home, and then he was, just living on himself, and then he kind of found his mentor and, really get to know a lot of knowledge and just, grow through that point of his life on, and, until he became the person he is today. And I think he's a pretty valuable person, not only for society, but for society. But yeah, he just accomplished a great lot of things. So, because we have been gone through, or we have finished this one, what should I be doing now? About what should I be talking? I kind of feel like, some business-oriented stuff might be good. The thing is, I don't know, because I can't really talk about business that much because I quite haven't achieved anything yet. This is an important thing, yet. But I think I may see if I can find something on the Paul Miner website, because it's actually a great website with so detailed summaries that you can get a lot out of them, which is great. Or maybe I'll see on, so we'll just make it a little bit bigger so that I can actually, because there are, now you can see it, maybe or not, best books, book summaries. If you have the window a little bit bigger, you then can actually see, or maybe not, you actually could have seen some kind of like, a filter thing, but maybe I do have to, I have to do it like this? I don't know. But yeah, it's some kind of filtered anyways. So, do it like this again. Yeah, totally fine. So, let's see. The thing is, I don't know if I could actually go through one of these ones, because it always depends on whether the website lets me go through another summary or not. Because I feel like the author here, or whoever is just, controlling the website or is the admin of the website, doesn't really like that I'm always on this website and I'm not paying for this subscription that then pops up if you just were way too often on this website, I think. So social skill book summaries, maybe even get anyone to do anything. Power move books, The Art of Seduction. The 48 Laws of Power was actually the first book I began and then said that I do not want to talk about this one, because I felt like, no, it's not right to talk about this one. It was quite like, it felt like me, like, shitting on people, and I do not want to talk about certain things like this. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna do this. I remember this exactly. I think it was 2 months ago or something. Actually just in the very, very beginnings of this podcast. And so communication skills. What was the first one? Social skills. Maybe social skills would be actually great. Sales and influence. I wouldn't say that how to win friends and influence people is some kind of sales. But it's influence. Influence would actually be great. The straight line persuasion, social engineering, the art of human hacking, the paradox of choice, maximum influence by Cord Mortensen. Contagious is a great book. It's about, here you can see it. Subscribe or log in to read the rest of this content. No, thank you. Not now. So, Paul Miner's book summary. I'm sorry for that one. I'll just pick one of the really first books now, because I do not want to waste any time. Maybe Getting Things Done, or The First Time Manager. Extreme Ownership. Extreme Ownership would definitely be a good read, But the thing is, I'm actually quite, reading the book itself, so I might spoiler myself, even though it's definitely not the same thing as, yeah, definitely not the same thing as, really reading the summary, compared to the book itself. Not the same. Ego is the Enemy, Eat That Frog, The Dip by Seth Godin. Deep Work is actually a great one. Decisive. Crush It, also pretty good. Built to Last. The Art of People. The Art of People. People are, as the author and the author of this article or the book itself already said, people are important, and I actually think people, yes, are important, because in terms of business, if you do not have the right contacts and the right people to ask, or just, really move on about your business, then you might be actually a little bit fucked. Yeah, definitely. If you have the wrong relationships, this might affect your life, and if business wise, life wise. Yeah. So The Art of People is a guide written by Dave Kerpen on how to manage some of the most important people and relationships in your life. Current emphasizes that people matter. Actually true. They matter more than anything in managing your job, career, life, and relationships. People can make all the difference between an average life and a great life. This book has 11 handy tips on how to understand people, build better relationships, and get the most out of relationships. Also in terms of me and myself, relationships are pretty important, because on social media I do not have relationships yet. The whole thing, like the influencer and follower relationship is also a thing, and I kind of hope that I get some general insights that I could translate into all the areas I need them, which is often the thing with these self-help books, that, and actually books on human beings, is that you read it in terms of one area of life, and you then be like, but wait a minute, I could actually just take it and move it in some other area and it would work anyways. This is the great thing about it. It's really great. Just have to try it with all the information you have, just to really put it in certain other scenarios, to just see if it's working anyways, or what would happen. So who is the summary for? We all have relationships, whether they are personal or work related. So this book really is a great read for anyone. The Art of People is a guide written by Dave Kerpen on how to manage, and I've read that, I think. So about the author, maybe even Dave Kerpen considers himself to be a serial entrepreneur, keynote speaker, and author. The Art of People is his fourth New York Times bestseller. Kerpen spends a lot of his time presenting keynote speeches all around the world and is the co-founder and CEO of Likeable Media, a social media marketing firm. Kerpen has recently undertaken the role of interim CEO at UMA Health, an online mental health coaching marketplace. Kerpen lives in New York with his wife and 3 children. Dave Kerpen. The actual just great thing is always to look up all these people to actually see if they've achieved something in their lives. Yeah, it's actually that one. It's the same picture as on the post. Not on the post, but on the article. Let's see what his net worth is. I think it's actually on Wikipedia as well. So it's him. Never mind. So I'll go through it. In the summary, this book has 11 handy tips on how to understand people, build better relationships, and get the most out of relationships. We briefly cover each of the 11 tips in the summary. First, aim to understand yourself and others. Second, focus on meeting the right people. Third, learn how to read other people. Fourth, learn how to connect with people. Fifth, be influential. Sixth, changing minds. Seventh, be a teacher. Eighth, be a leader. Ninth, learn how to resolve conflicts. And 10th, be inspirational. And finally, understand that happiness is key, which is, just beginning from the very bottom, it is key, because tomorrow will actually come a post where I just talk about the same thing or write about the same thing. Money won't make you happy, and at my point of view, really helping people will make you happy. Because the thing with money is, and it is just the same example I bring and talk about all the time, is that you can buy yourself your Lamborghini, and you can buy yourself this great new Rolex. You can buy yourself this great dress if you're a woman, if you this great suit if you're a man. Yeah, you can definitely do that. But the thing is, if you've gotten all these things you always wanted to have, like all these materialistic items, you will thrive for fucking non-materialistic items like happiness, health, great relationships, the feeling of helping other people, having been, or the feeling of having something accomplished in your life, and all these non-materialistic things, and these really, then are important to you. This is always funny, the shift between the poorer you are, the more happy, or the more happiness you think you will achieve through money. And it's the same thing the other way around. So if you have just really a lot of money, you actually feel like, this is not making you happy. This is always the thing. It's pretty interesting. Book summary. Aim to understand yourself and others, especially yourself, which is some kind of self-awareness, I would say. And this is so important because especially on social media, and I've talked about this already once and twice and 3 times maybe, people just generalize everything. They just be like, you have to read 500,000 books until you get really successful, until you get rich, and then you will definitely be rich. Okay, the thing is, I'll read that 5,000 books. The thing is, I might not be that rich and that successful afterwards as you promised me, because it's for every fucking person differently. People may not even be able to read because they don't like it, and therefore they don't consume information like this. Some people just might listen to audiobooks because they actually do not like to read. Some other people will just, talk to other persons. Some other people will then just watch YouTube videos because they just, fill themselves with information through this way, through this channel. So it is always like you have to look at what is good for yourself and not what other people are doing, and therefore it's but so fucking important that you know who you are, what you like, what's important to you, what creates certain feelings, and all these things. It is important. Yeah. Kern explains that self-awareness, should be the core of the art of people. It's so important to understand ourselves or yourself and how you function before you'll be able to truly understand anyone else. Kern recommends you to take action and try to get to know yourself as soon as possible. Try to establish if you are a leader, a follower, a people pleaser. Everyone falls into different categories, and it's best to know where you fit before you try to attempt to understand others. It's also important to understand how you interact with people and what kind of relationship you usually have with others. And in terms of, you should definitely know that, what person you are before you actually just kind of try to read other persons. But the thing is, it's quite a difficult thing nevertheless, or anyways, because the thing is, just because we all know how we act and what we like, we just assume that all these other persons like the same things as we do. This is just a really dumb point as I just explained it right now. It sounds so fucking dumb. But the thing is, a lot of idiots out there just think like this. They think like this, and they just mean it. Like, yeah, you know, a common thing, a common quote is, and you definitely have heard it, is that you shouldn't treat somebody the way you wouldn't like to be treated. The thing is, it doesn't make any sense, but it makes sense. So the thing is, you would never hurt somebody even though they like it or they want it, but you don't want to. The other way around is some kind of different. If you just feel like, you like to be hugged, so everybody else likes to be hugged, and you hug somebody, and he's like, yeah, fuck off, man, I don't like to be hugged. Then you just, you're fucked, some sort of. And that's the point that I'm going to make. We are all individuals, and we all are different, and we all like different stuff. Period. Kern recommends you to take action and try to get to know yourself as soon as possible. I've read that one, you dumbass motherfucker. Everyone falls into different, It's also important to understand how you interact with people, and I've actually read the whole one. It's not all about, and actually the thing is, I should never tell myself that I'm a fucking idiot, because the things you tell yourself, according to Tony Robbins, whom I pretty believe in, actually, says that it is not the best thing to do, because, your thoughts get your words, and your words get your beliefs, and your beliefs get some kind of your habits, and your habits gets your life. So, at the end, everything just starts with what you're... So this was not a quote by Tony Robbins, don't get me wrong, I've heard it somewhere, just, read it somewhere, even, I think, actually on Instagram, but the thing is, there is something behind it, And so I always try now on the evening before I go to bed to tell myself what I'm really willing to achieve in life and what I really want to have in life. Which then is like happiness. For me it's happiness, wealth and or success, giving something back to people, feeling good, so being healthy, and that's it. So happy, healthy, wealthy, giving back. These are my key things for now. Maybe it will change. It could definitely change. That I want in my future life to have. Period. So it's not all about liking someone. Kern explains that even if you don't like someone, you are still able to get them. Having a deeper understanding of someone is always going to be beneficial, whether you like them as a person or not. That's actually true. The thing is, if you just, watch people and just listen to them, then you really just know what they are into, what they like, what they don't like. And so you can just be talking about the things they like so that they like you. Which sounds kind of, obvious, but it's what it is, You just have to see what their values are, what their goals are, and just talk in terms of these things, especially in terms of their values and goals, and then they will probably like you. This is how I think, and I think about it. Having a deep understanding, Kern recommends that you take on a challenge. Consider 3 people you know that you don't get. People whose company you don't particularly enjoy. Reach out to them and ask them to meet for coffee. When you meet, dedicate your time to getting to know this person and aiming to understand what makes them tick. It's likely that you'll leave the meeting not liking them any more than you did before. Probably. But you'll understand them better. This means you'll have a chance to build a beneficial relationship with them. And in terms of business, I just quite see it fucking clearly. The thing is, in business, you definitely won't be liking everyone. This just isn't it. You can't like everyone, and, someday you may get to the point where you can just decide with whom you're going to work with, so that you just do not have to work with some assholes. And therefore, something I just have to say right now, don't be an asshole. If you don't like to just hang around with assholes, don't be one either. Which is not common sense, actually, which is not that obvious, actually. So but this is actually some kind of great advice, because you then really, if you just try to understand them, you will definitely, and this is also some kind of way to not judge people and not judge yourself as well. Because if you just understand them, there is no way why you should judge them. And this is something I remind myself pretty fucking often, but because I tend to just think like, yeah, he's such a fucking dude, such a fucking dude, such a fucking asshole, or some shit like that, or just judge them that, they were cool stuff. This is actually true for me. I actually kinda not get, at the first glance, people who are wearing, just really expensive clothing, and they act like, or they just feel like that they act like, yeah, they are the best because they have these clothes and so on, because I clearly, maybe as you can see, maybe not, I don't give a fuck about clothing. This is a thing that I, do not fuck with. I was once quite into, but, it's some sort of may just boil down to, yeah, being like shy or not confident with who you are. And therefore I just like to work out because, I feel good in my body, and so it doesn't matter what I'm wearing, that I feel good. Yeah, there are actually certain things I do not like to wear, and if I wear them, I just feel not that good. A suit that is not fitting well is one of these things, because I kind of feel like, okay. But the thing is, it doesn't matter what other people think about you. That's it. But to come back to this one, it is actually a good idea because you will just understand these people. First encounters. It's pretty understandable that you know your friends a lot better than you do someone you just met. However, Kearns has a few tips you can use when you first meet someone to speed up the process and understand who they are. Rather than the usual, what do you do for a living, or where do you live, consider a few of the following questions. Yeah, that's totally true, If you just meet people, it's always like the same questions. Especially for me, like, yeah, you're going to school. Oh my god, you have so many hours today and you're just commuting all the time. Isn't it isn't it making you tired? And blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, actually not. It's always quite the same thing. But so let's see what the author is saying. In your professional life, what do you think is the most exciting thing? This is actually quite a basic question, but asked quite differently. The second one is, in your personal life, what is exciting you the most at the moment? The third one is, if money wasn't an issue, would you be doing something different? This is actually a great question because actually, like the question, what would you do if you couldn't fail? A lot of people would just do so many things. So many, at my point of view. So fucking many. But because they can fail, nobody's doing them. Because they're like, yeah, failing is bad, but failing is not bad. Failing is definitely good. Because without failing, you can never know what you're shit at, first of all, where you should improve, how to overcome that obstacle, because you've just tried every other way out instead of this only one, and this only one will then be just the key to overcoming this. And yeah. In 5 years from now, what would you ideally like to be doing? Do you have a favorite charity organization? Why do you choose them? Who is a role model to you and why? Who in your life has been significantly influential to you? What do you think your favorite teacher would say about you? Actually good questions, and it's definitely not like the same shit, the same old fucking shit you hear every time you're meeting someone, or just, meeting the first time with someone, the first encounter. These questions not only break the ice, they quickly get people talking about the things that really matter. Actually true, because I was definitely kind of thinking about it as I was going through them, because it's actually like, yeah, it's kind of personal, but maybe in some kind of way that it is not too personal for them. But they will definitely just be talking about something that they actually like, that they are passionate about, that they even love maybe. And then, yeah, okay, they like it. So I will, first of all, do not fuck about this one. So I will not say, yeah, he just said, yeah, golf is my life. You won't be like, yeah, golf is total shit and it's not even a sport. Maybe. It's something that I've always thought. not always, but sometimes thought, and I think some other people as well. But it is a sport. I think it's fucking hard. And if you see those golf players, quite a lot of them seem to be pretty fit. I do not know what muscles you have to train and whatever you have to train to be a good golf player. I'm not that educated in this scene or this niche, but yeah. So I'm not fucking with golf players. If you're one, it's great, and it's pretty fucking expensive, isn't it? Don't be interesting, be interested. Current points out something we all know to be true. Humans love to talk about themselves. This is a fact and something that's not going to change. The reality is that whenever you are having a conversation, almost everyone would rather be talking about themselves than listening to someone else. So there is a chance you tap in, listen to what they say, be attentive and start learning and understanding more about someone. I've heard that so many times, and yes, I think it's true. Kron explains that listening is harder than it sounds. Most of the time we passively listen, we simply wait for our chance to talk. Totally true. Instead, you need to adopt the habit of actively listening and actually caring about what the person is saying. So actually be asking another question and another question, the question that's building up on the other questions, so that you just, do not feel like you're a stranger, or the other person doesn't feel like, you're a stranger, but actually be genuinely interesting, as Dale Carnegie in How to Win Friends and Influence People was saying. Yeah. Current points out that this takes focus and practice, but it will almost always strengthen your relationship. Yeah, because people actually like to be listened to. Because they like to talk about themselves all the time, quite all the time. And I kind of felt it as well as someone when we went out eating, and someone just asked me relatively personal questions, and I kind of just I kind of felt great in this conversation, totally, because I then at the end, as I was then going through the whole conversation again, I was just talking about myself. And I afterwards thought like, yeah, this was actually a great conversation, but at the end, it was only me who was talking, actually. So remember that people care more about themselves than they care about you. People want to talk about themselves. Listening and letting people talk is the key to winning them over in life, in business and in all human relationships. Yeah, and this will then be the end of this episode. I've gone kind of through a bit of this one. It's actually a pretty great one, even though, nothing just is as good as How to Win Friends and Influence People at my point of view. And I definitely do have to go through it again with you. I just, went through it once, but I'll definitely see what the PaulMoose.com website tells about How to Win Friends and Influence People, or even the Paul Miner website if he has it. But yeah, I wish you have a wonderful day. I love you, and I hope you're fucking happy and fucking wealthy and fucking successful, but especially fucking happy, because I know that everything else comes with it. So I'll see you the next time.